We're with Chris Head and Ben Marchi. Listen, let's get to some of the bills here that passed in the Senate. Some passed, one didn't. If I can get to that really fast, guys, I'd appreciate it. Yesterday in the Senate, SB 35. So what happened is 3 gun control bills passed the Senate, 2 on party line votes, and 1 with the help of 2 Republicans. Senator Siobhan Dunnavant from Richmond, Dr. Dunnavant, and our good friend Emmett Hanger from the Shenandoah Valley area. Now, this was SB 35. Senator Scott Survell pretty much gutted state gun law preemption, passed out of the Senate by a party line vote. And then SB 69, Senator Mamie Locke from Hampton reinstates the old 1 handgun a month law. That's really the least of my worries. You guys can weigh in on this in a minute. I mean, if you want 12 handguns, you can buy them every month for in perpetuity. So I always thought that was kind of, I could care less about that.
Well, that was always for collectors.
Yeah, Senator Lucas, universal background checks passed out of the Senate, 23-17, 2 votes on Republicans. So let's talk about these. But the red flag bill was delayed yesterday. And guess who was instrumental in delaying it? My best friend, State Senator Joe Morrissey, right? My best friend. What does Joe do? Gets to the Senate, beats Roz Dance, who would have voted for this, just saying. And it was Joe Morrissey that stalled this thing and said, wait a minute, there's no due process here. Cops can come in looking for a gun because somebody says you're going to do something with it. And then you find weed, and then you find something in their house, and then you find pills or something else, and etc. So you guys, Ben, and my good friend Ben Marchi, and my good friend Chris Head, I just want to tell you, my best friend Joe Morrissey, stopping this red flag bill. I want you to show Joe some love.
Okay.
Thank you. Show Joe the love, baby.
Hey,
show him the love.
It's owed where it's due.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, just this. The truth of the matter is, I agree with what he said. You know, I mean, it does get in the way of due process. I think it's blatantly unconstitutional. So
I think every legislator deserves to take that AK on the floor.
You know what? It did that for effect. But see, you got to go back to that.
Well, your listeners may not remember.
I don't care that he brought AK-47.
No, it was fantastic. I mean, it was
good.
It was a great visual.
Well, but see, here's the thing. And of course, you can't do it anymore. But here's the thing is the day that he did that, and I was sitting there looking around at my colleagues. First of all, everybody in the gallery laid down because nobody knew what he was doing. And secondly, looking across on the floor, and the number of my colleagues, many of whom suddenly had their right hand inside their left lapel pocket, you know, and others that were reaching down to their ankle, and every eye was on Joe. I mean, you know,
who's surprised that Joe would stand on principle and do what he thought was right? He's got a Mustang streak in him a mile wide. We know that. But between that and Bill Stanley's speech yesterday on the floor,
I got a chance to see that. He put it on his Facebook page.
He just nailed it.
I had it on today when I was shaving and getting ready to come. You had actually texted me, I think, Ben, and then so I found it. Krause sent it to me also, I think. So what a speech! What a speech that was.
You can't be intellectually honest and deny the points that Senator Bill Stanley made yesterday. The fact that all Democrats want to do, they don't want to make Virginia safer. They want to take away our rights because they find them offensive, as Bill Stanley said, because they want to put scarlet letters on every gun owner across Virginia. That owning a gun is somehow a mark of shame. Give me a break.
I thought Bill Stanley's speech was excellent. Bill D. Steph put out a great statement yesterday. I read a lot of the statements. His was by far the best. Spot on. But here's the thing. You can't stop them. The only person that stalled the red flag bill, which is not what we wanted, without Joe, that thing doesn't. That thing passes. You can't stop them.
I spoke last night with a legislator who told me that they are starting in the Democrat caucus. This was a Democrat who said they're starting to figure out that they may have gone a little too far.
Based on what? I mean, they passed 3 of them, right? Again, let's just look at very quickly what they.
I don't think anyone's disputing their ability to pass these things. What's the concern is what happens after this session to them.
Right. Well, that's why.
Or Monday. As Bill Stanley said yesterday on the floor, they are scared of the voters. They are scared of law-abiding citizens.
Wasn't one of our founding fathers the one that said, when the government fears the people, that's liberty?
Yes.
Well,
and when the people fear the government, that's tyranny, right? I mean, that's a.
They're trying to turn this into like a mob scene. This is a peaceful rally of people that want to protect their Second Amendment rights. And why Northam doesn't want 100,000 people on the grounds, I'm telling you, is because the aerial view on national news all over the country Monday saying, look, here are Virginians who came out that don't like this peaceful rally, pack a lunch, not a gun, bring a friend, not a gun, pack the place. They're afraid of that because the only thing they fear is getting voted out of office, period.
See, here's the thing, though, that everybody needs to hear.
I'm sure he's just protecting the grass.
And everybody really needs to hear this, because over the years, I've seen people get really worked up about an issue at the moment that a bill is being voted on and passed, and they don't like it. And they get really fired up about it. But this happens in January of 2020. And then the next election to do something about it doesn't happen until November of 2022 or 2021.
2 years away.
So you got almost 2 years away. And by the time it gets there, the passion has gone away and people forget. Folks, you cannot forget. You gotta, if you're not registered to vote, my goodness, go out and get registered to vote, and then make sure you get there and drag your friends to do the same thing, because we know the voter turnout percentage-wise was lower than it should have been. And we've got a group of people that have traditionally not gone to the polls because they didn't think that it really made that much difference. It makes a huge difference, and we're at a point where how many districts are narrowly defined, where you're dealing with a handful of votes making the decision as to who gets to represent you.
Well, hopefully with redistricting reform, we'll have more competitive seats.
Well, one would hope.
Fair seats. Fair
seats, right. Yeah, that's fine.
Fair. Just
where
fair.
Politicians don't pick their voters.
Exactly.